with talent. So the third thing that the citizens of Ayodhya talk about is not just that Ram had talent and attitude, but he also had great character. So talent and attitude will help you get success, but good character makes sure that you can maintain your success. Because in the history of the world, we have seen very talented people and people who have good attitude becoming successful. But without good character, success doesn't last. And therefore, the citizens of Ayodhya, they said that Ram is not just having good talent and good character, good attitude, but he's also having good character. And what is good character? Good character is a tripod of three things: honesty, integrity, and self-control. And Ram is a combination of these three things, and therefore the citizens of Ayodhya, they said he is the ideal king. Somebody who has talent, somebody who has good attitude, and somebody who has good character. Of course, they go on to describe every quality of these three things in detail in Ram. But one thing that really stands out, which the citizens of Ayodhya share, which can help us in our personal lives also, is that they say that Ram is a person, one of the reasons why they are so much attracted to Ram is because he is a person who loves his people. In fact, the citizens of Ayodhya say that he loves us more than our own family members. So when we have a happy occasion at home, he comes and shares our happiness. He becomes more happy than our own family members. And they say when we have a sad occasion in life, Ram comes to our house and he is more sad than our own people. He cries more than our own people. It's very interesting. What are these people talking about? In one sense, many people, they understand that Ram is God. But look at what Ram is doing here. He is not solving their problem. He is crying along with them. If he is God, he should be able to solve their problem. The fact that Ram is trying to teach us is that not all problems are meant to be solved. Some problems are meant to be tolerated. And some problems are meant to be neglected. So essentially, Ram, when he came and is crying with the citizens of Ayodhya, he is teaching us that people don't want solutions to the problems of life. They want somebody who can understand their problem. Many times when I counsel and guide people, people come and share their heart. 1 hour they're speaking about all the problems they're going through. After 1 hour they tell, thank you very much Prabhuji, you solved our problem. I have not even opened my mouth. So essentially, people don't want solutions to their problems. They want to be understood. They want to be heard. And here is somebody who is considered to be an ideal leader by the citizens of Ayodhya, and they are not expecting him to solve their problems. They love him because he hears their problems and cries along with them. And that's what endears Ram to the citizens of Ayodhya. Another very interesting story that comes out from the story pages of the Ramayana is Dasharath's decision making. So when Dasharath wanted to make a decision, we're discussing about how he wanted to make Ram the king of Ayodhya. So he asked his the whole kingdom about their opinion. So there are two aspects to Dasharath's decision making. And both these aspects teach about how good quality decisions have to be made in life. And this is what Ramayana is. So the first time when Dasharath is talking about appointing Ram as a king of Ayodhya, he calls everyone together and asks them their opinion. So the first lesson that we can learn from this is that decision making is akin to breathing. Just as in breathing, there has to be a careful balance between inhalation and exhalation, decision making must be a careful balance between personal benefits, taking in, and communal harmony, giving out. So most people in life, when they take the decisions, especially leaders today, their decisions are based on what I can get. When a leader takes a decision based on what I can get, he becomes a bad leader. When a leader, yes, personal benefit is important. But along with personal benefit, you have to think about communal harmony. Just like in breathing, when we breathe in, we also breathe out. Now you can say, come on, why are we breathing out? I want to only breathe in. Keep breathing in, you will die. Or you keep breathing out, you will die. So there has to be a balance between breathing in and breathing out. And that's what decision making is. Another very beautiful lesson from this is that decision making in the kingdom of Ayodhya followed a circular system. Which point in a circle could be considered the most important? The center, naturally. In a circular system, the king was also one of the points in the circle, but not the center. At the center was the welfare of the kingdom. The king was not a lawmaker, instead, he was a lawkeeper. The king expressed ideas, all the citizens laid down their opinions, and the churning of ideas and opinions resulted in a collective decision. This was the decision making system of Ayodhya. It's called circular system. Essentially, here in the first phase of Dasharath's life, he made a decision which was based on the circular system, the system that Ayodhya followed. He consulted everybody and made a decision. That same day, as the night progressed, he made another decision. At this point of time, he was alone. Didn't consult anybody. The only person who was involved in the decision making was his wife, Kaikeyi. And in the middle of the night, he made the biggest decision of his life of sending Ram away to exile and putting Bharat as the king of Ayodhya. Let us just stop for a minute and think about this whole thing. The two biggest epics in the history of civilization, the Mahabharata and Ramayana, talks about how decisions have to be made. Why do we find that pubs are in dark environment and classrooms are in a bright environment? Why do we find that when people go to gyms, you find people having strong physical bodies and well-developed muscles, pictures of them put up in the gym? And in a beauty parlor, we find beautiful faces put up. Why do we find in a dentist clinic, people with smiling, brilliant smiles put up, The reason is because the environment you are in affects your decision making, influences your decision making. So essentially, if the right environment is created, the right decisions are made. And here, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana talk about how if the environment in which you're making a decision is the wrong environment, you make the biggest blunders of your life. So Dasharath, in the Ramayana, we find him entering into the palace of Kaikeyi in an environment which was created by Kaikeyi of ignorance. So Dasharath entered the environment with desire in his heart. And when he entered in the environment with desire in his heart and with great overconfidence in his own abilities, that environment forced him to make a wrong decision. And along with being an environment of ignorance, Dasharath was very overconfident of his own abilities. He promised Kaikeyi, ask whatever you want, I'll fulfill it. And on top of that, he never consulted anybody. He took a decision on his own. And therefore, that decision proved out to be a disaster for the entire Ayodhya. And in the Mahabharata, we find a similar situation where Bhishma takes a decision in an environment created by Satyavati, an environment of ignorance. And in that environment, Bhishma entered to fulfill the desire of his father. And when he entered to fulfill the desire of his father, Bhishma entered with great overconfidence. He thought that he can solve all the problems of life by taking one vow. He took a vow of celibacy. He took a vow of lifelong brahmacharya. And he didn't consult anyone. Again, so both the epics talk about how when the decision is made in the wrong environment, it creates a disaster. And that's what we can learn from this particular story. I'll tell you something that we can learn from Ravan. Ravan is considered to be an anti-hero. Of course, there are many people today that write books glorifying Ravan as a hero of the Ramayana. And there are so many books in the market today that actually glorify Ravan's heroic nature and his misunderstood personality and so on and so forth. So I'll share with you one story from Ravan's life and something that we can learn from his life. So Ravan, one time, he ventured out to Kailash. Of course, he went to fight with his brother, his step-brother, whose name was Kuvera. So Ravan fought with his stepbrother and stole away. He's excited now. Small children like the mind. You can't keep the mind too much under control. It breaks loose. There is an art of how to make the mind peaceful. Anyways, so Ravan, he ventured out to Kailash to fight with his stepbrother. He fought with Kuvera. He stole away his Pushpak Viman and he was going off. So as this was the first flight journey Ravan took, on the Pushpak Viman. And as he was traveling, the Pushpak Viman works based on the mind. You can't, it's not controlled by any steering mechanical arrangements. It's just controlled based on the mind. Of course, today modern modern scientists are trying to invent vehicles that function based on the mind. So Ravan, as he was driving on the Pushpak Viman, suddenly at some point when he was crossing the Kailash mountains, the plane stopped. It was just not moving. He couldn't figure out what's happening because he had no understanding of how the plane works. The only thing he knew about the plane is that it works based on the mind of the owner. Now, Ravan started thinking, why did it stop? He was thinking, maybe the Pushpak Viman knows that I am not the owner of it. Maybe that's the reason the plane has stopped. And he was completely bewildered because he had no idea how to function the plane, how to make the plane go. And here is a very beautiful lesson from that angle. Metal detectors detect dangerous material on one's person. What if there are mental detectors that could scan dangerous thoughts? Whereas metal detectors are programmed for superficial external checks, mental detectors can look deep within the recesses of the mind. The appearance of the most well-dressed person may conceal an obnoxious mind filled with envious agendas, big-headedness, deceit and disrespect. So here, can you just imagine if instead of metal detectors in airports and security points, you have mental detectors? As soon as you have a wrong thought, it starts blowing. Nobody can enter any place because the mind is so corrupted. And so here in Ravan's situation, we find him, he is in great anxiety because the Pushpak Viman stopped. And he has no idea why it stopped because he knew it has stopped. Something got to do with the mind. But he didn't know what. As he was thinking like this, suddenly from top of the Kailash mountain, one man popped out. This man, he had the face that looked very much like a monkey and he had a very strong human body. So Ravan, he knew immediately that this was the person who was causing the Pushpak Viman to stop. He knew. And this person, he started speaking. He said, this Kailash is the territory of Lord Shiva. You can't enter this place without the permission of Lord Shiva. And because you entered over here with wrong intentions and without permission, you're not allowed. You can't go any further. So when Ravan saw this person, something happened to Ravan. Now, it was a serious situation. But sometimes in serious situations also you feel like laughing, right? So this was one such situation. So when Ravan saw this person, something inside him triggered. And he started giggling like anything. Because somehow the look, the way this person looked, it kind of created a very funny thought in Ravan. He started laughing like anything. And this man, he got extremely annoyed by Ravan's, behavior. A very, very disrespectful behavior. And immediately he understood what is going on in the mind of Ravan and he started shouting. This person was Nandi, the bull carrier of Lord Shiva. So Nandi, he started telling Ravan, you are laughing at me because my face looks like a monkey. I curse you that one day your whole kingdom will be destroyed by monkeys. And at that point of time, Ravan, he kind of jolted to reality. Here is a very beautiful lesson from that. Having fun at the expense of another is like buying misery with your post-dated check that is cashed at some unpredictable point in time when your balance is zero. So essentially, having fun is not a problem. But when you have fun at somebody else's expense, it's like a post-dated check. Someday, it will bounce. And here is another very interesting lesson of what really good humor is about. So we know from this what humor shouldn't be. And here is a lesson about what humor should be. A vulture never makes fun of the ugliness of another vulture. As humans, instead of investing energy in poking fun at others, we could explore humor in our own failures and use it as a tool to cope with our setbacks rather than use someone else's defects to laugh at. So many times, people who have difficulties in life, or they have failures in life, they don't know how to handle failures. One way of handling failures is laugh at your own failure. Make jokes of your own failure. It will not seem so heavy. It will not seem so undigestible. Many times, when humor is used to make fun of others, that humor becomes a cause of disturbance in your life. But when you can use humor to create positive and acceptable understanding of your own failures, that humor becomes a tool to assist you in your self-growth. And therefore, this whole story, of course, there is a full chapter in this book that talks about, it's called as Egomaniac. This is about Ravan's life. So this story, this part of this book, of course, in Ayodhya Kand, many people say that where is Ravan? There is no Ravan in the Ayodhya Kand. But I purposely introduced Ravan to build up his image, his personality. Because unless you know who Ravan is, you will not know who Ram is. You will not be able to appreciate Ram sufficiently. So the reason I introduced Ravan over here, so what I do in this Ayodhya Kand is that, so there is a seventh volume of the Ramayana called Uttarakand. So the Uttarakand has stories of Ravan's life, all the backstories. There are stories of Hanuman, there are stories, the backstories of so many background stories that are not there in other parts of the Ramayana. So I take many of the stories from the Uttarakand and I put them here in the Ayodhya Kand to introduce the character of Ravan perfectly. So essentially in this book there is a full chapter that talks about all the atrocities that Ravan did on all the demigods.